Hello and welcome to Ascendere new season. I have now decided to also become a fitness influencer. Not that I am a trained coach or do fitness for a living, but I like to stay in shape, and I think we need to stay in shape until we can transfer our conscious into some kind of machine. Imagine a future where we can be whatever you want to be. Say you want to be a toaster, you just transfer your conscious into a toaster. Or say you want to be a microwave oven or whatever. Maybe some kind of robot would be have more options. But until then, we have to take care of our bodies. I like to start with like 10 minutes of warming up like this. You see, moving shoulders and wrists, and also back and ankle joints. I start with the shoulders and the wrists, and then I go to hip hinging. I do some kind of wave form with my body here, and gradually, as I become warmer and warmer, I can get a bigger range of motion. When I start, I'm really stiff. You see, I'm past 50 now, so it's really not not to fool around with this mobility. But I think a warming up part is maybe the best time of the training. You can do some really simple stuff here. I do double biceps and then tension serratus anterior and the lats, and then I go to this waveform again, double biceps. Maybe I do it all wrong. Maybe this is not the way to train. Maybe you have an opinion on this. Then I try to really open up my ankles and my hips. Squatting down, sitting in the squat. I'm not completely relaxed when I do this. I put some tension, especially the double biceps there, and I cut the warming up period short here. I go over to some knees to bar, or whatever we can call this. Can't do very many repetitions of this one, but a few. From knees to bar, then I proceed with some jumps and climbing. Oh, I'm not done with the knees to bar yet. Also try to do the negative phase of the knees to bar really gently, so I will not just drop down. It's takes some effort on the, I think, lats actually, and the abs are most hit on this one. And here comes first a jump, and then some trying to walk between the bars here. But I realize it's very challenging, and I don't want to get up too high, because if I fall down, the landing will be difficult. Proceed with some floor work, Superman plank. It looks almost like I'm balding there, but I think it's a filter in the camera that makes me look bald. And some tumbling backward and tumbling forward. It will, it's a good mobility thing, I think. When you approach a little bit higher age, you should be able to do this simple stuff. But I really think walking is the number one exercise. If you can't walk, if you have your legs and you can't walk for 15 minutes, then you get some work to do before you start tumbling and stuff. But assuming you're not disabled somehow, you should really start walking. That's I'm just hanging very loosely. It's not a big load. It's not very challenging, this one. But this is the reason I use shoes on. Because standing with bare feet on these bars is not that comfortable, I think. If I wouldn't have included this exercise, I might have done the workout without shoes. I continue for this in this way about 10 minutes. I do some little bit more challenging moves. Here comes a little bit more challenging move. Activate the muscles on the side of the body. It's not a full plank, as you see. I'm not that strong. After this climbing, I do some sled work. The sled is just horrible. If you choose the right load and the right length to run, your thighs and your heart and your lungs will give up about simultaneously. If it's too heavy, you will not be able to push yourself. It will just like lie there. And if it's too easy, you will run very fast. And yeah, risk of pulling a hamstring or something. But this load where I cannot go that fast. It's just really tough on the legs. So this load I have a 25 kilo plate on the implement, which itself weighs about 45 kilos. So it's a grand total of 70 kilos on this green plastic lawn. I think the length of the lawn might be 25 meters, and I did 4 rounds here. Now I switch to deadlift. I start with some light weights. Light weights for me, very light for someone else, or maybe heavy for someone else. You should do what is light for you when you start. I think deadlift is one of the greatest exercises. Not as great as walking, but very great. It trains everything. I have literally got the training ache in my foot, in the valves of my feet from deadlifting, and even in the pecs. So that was 110 kilo, but I'm not done yet. I proceed with 130 kilo. I have this little ritual before deadlifting because I want everything to feel all right when I do a lift. It's really important not to bend your lower back when you deadlift. Upper back can be bent, but I don't like to do that. I want to have my back rigid all the way through the lift. If it's too heavy, my back will crumple. It's usually a very small crumpling on my upper back when it gets heavy. But I don't like that. I want it. Maybe it doesn't look perfectly straight, but at least it doesn't move during the lift. I have it rigid during the lift, and that's the way I want it. So a little bit heavier. Now I'm up to 150 kilos. I will finish this on 160 kilos, which is about 90% of my latest 1 repetition max. So here we have 160 kilo coming. one red 25 kilo, one blue 20 kilo, one yellow 15 kilos, and two small whites 5 kilos each. And the bar weighs 20 kilos. That should be a grand total of 160 kilo. Double overhand grip using a hook grip where the index finger and the long finger are covering the thumb. There are many tutorials on deadlifting. You should check them before starting your own. And this is my finisher. This is a dumbbell row. I have a little special variation where I have both my knees on the bench. It's a little bit more awkward than the conventional dumbbell row because I had to round the bench. If I lift it straight, the dumbbell will hook up in the bench on the way up and the way down. So I have to round the bench. It makes it slightly more challenging per kilo. And I'm not very peculiar with the form here. Deadlifting, I think lifting form is very important. But on the dumbbell row, I lift with kind of sloppy form. This is really heavy. And I think it's about 19 lifts in grand total. Really tough. But I think in order to develop, you need to challenge yourself. A little bit, and I do one set per side of this one. So this is my weak side. I usually do my strong side first because I think that tricks my weak side into becoming a little bit stronger than it would be if I did that first. I reason like my weak side sees what my strong side can do and it thinks I can do that too. But I'm struggling a lot more with my weak side here than with my strong side. It's like hauling a fish net on a boat. The grand total time for me when I did the workout was 1 hour, but I have shortened it all the time where I just wandering around in the gym, figuring out what to do next. I have edited that out. And some of the deadlifts I edited out, and a couple of rounds with the prowler I also edited out. And part of the climbing and part of the movement in the beginning also edited out. So grand total of 1 hour. It's a kind of optimum length of a training session, I think. I don't do that high intensity interval training stuff usually. It happens though, but most of the time I prefer to train like this. A really soft beginning and then finalizing with some really challenging stuff.